Please listen carefully.
Well, hello, universe, and welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Kristy Jansen.
And I'm Summers McKay.
And we're part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your days to help make them focus on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, Kristy's still feeling awesome-worthy podcast. Today is Thursday, the 8th of April, 2021. Hello, Kristy. How are you, my friend?
I'm well, Summers. Thanks. How are you?
I'm great. I am feeling 1,000 times better. I did all sorts of crazy things this morning, like showered. And actually, in our perpetual, everybody tunes in the Optimist Daily Update to hear about Kristy and Summers at-home hair care. But I dyed my hair, which I had not done since, I don't know, February or something. And it just, just kind of feel a little like well taken care of. My husband is furiously screwing in child safety locks into every drawer and cabinet in our house. So I had to ask him to stop doing that so we could record. But overall, it's a really great day. And my daughter this morning was so excited to go to school that we ended up going like 15, 20 minutes early. Because we were sitting there doing our normal play before I take her to school, and she kept walking to the front door and opening it and saying, school, Kathy, which is the name of her teacher. So that felt like an amazing victory because there was literally no tears. She didn't even look over her shoulder when she ran into the classroom. And so then,
clearly she's feeling as cooped up as the rest of us. And she's like, oh my goodness, there's a whole world out here that I never even knew existed.
Exactly. Wait, there are other children?
Kids? There's other toys? This is amazing. And there's a trained person who can play with me?
Yeah, exactly. And, the school that she's at, there's bunnies and there's goats and
wow.
But it was interesting. There was a case of COVID-19 at Brennan's school, and the decision of the educators, and I guess this is in concert with the CDC recommendations and the county health here in Austin, Texas, but they ended up closing that classroom for 2 weeks, but Brennan's classroom was not affected. So kind of an interesting thing. Everybody's just on watch, right? Because if somebody in Brennan's classroom were to test positive for COVID, we would also be shut down for 2 weeks. But it does seem like they do a really good job at protocols. And so all in all, I feel like, Kristy, you asked me how I am this morning, and I'm like, well, let me tell you about half my day. But how was your weird juice this morning?
Oh, it's pretty awful. I mean, it's tolerable, but the effects I feel so much better from. And again, today I woke up with that. It's just, I'm in awe, actually, at how much more lucid I feel than I have been feeling. And it's strange that in just 3 days, or this is my 4th day, I can really turn so many different things around for myself.
Absolutely.
And this is the 4th day of a 5-day cleanse, and we'll see how it goes. Yesterday, I even filed everything in my home office yesterday. I'm in this cleansing mood. So I actually took an hour and filed everything around my desk, which made my workspace feel cleaner too. Which was beautiful.
Well, well done. Kristy has been giving me recommendations on the set design behind me in my new office as well, because it's still just like piles of boxes and books. But your design aesthetic and your filing and your organization are usually on point. So I'm glad to hear that they're back. So
yes. So
how did reading the Optimist Daily make you feel this morning, my dear?
It made me feel curious and interested, which is how I usually feel. There's several different fantastic stories about interesting solution-oriented programs or ideas that are working to change different things in the world. And the one that I wanted to focus on is one of the things that is as everybody knows, is something I'm very interested in. But the headline reads, "New battery production method could yield safer and cheaper electric cars." And this is another article, another story about the coming transformation in electric vehicle batteries and in long-term battery storage in general towards solid state batteries. Mm-hmm. We've written about this before. I think we had a story about how Toyota was working on this similar type of technology. They expect to bring it onto the market, I think, at the end of this year or next year. But conventional lithium-ion batteries use liquid electrolytes that require sophisticated and expensive cooling systems to prevent that technology from overheating or getting damaged. And when you're in a moving vehicle, that takes a bit of weight, right, to package those battery cells in a way that they're going to not interact with each other in a bad way and explode or get damaged as the car is moving. And so in an effort to provide a better alternative, there's a group of scientists located at the Georgia Institute of Technology, and they've now come out with their new EV battery production method that aims to make safer, lighter, more energy-dense car batteries using a new technique called melt infiltration. And we don't have to go into what that is because I would not be able to explain it. I'm not an electrical engineer or a chemical engineer. I don't understand that part of it, but it does move towards production of solid-state batteries for cars. And it uses electrolyte materials that can be infiltrated into porous but densely packed and thermally stable electrodes, which means that they don't need to have the cooling mechanisms and the safety mechanisms built around them to keep them stable in the vehicle or in any kind of storage mechanism, whether it's in, the coming sort of the home batteries, the battery walls that we have coming to help us keep our distributed resources that we're generating from our solar panels on our roofs. That's the, end game of when the new energy future really arrives. But the great thing about this particular technique is that it's designed to use already existing processes and tools that are optimized for lithium-ion battery production right now, which means that the new patented technology mimics the low-cost fabrication of current commercial production for the Li-ion batteries. It's not on the market yet. I think that the car manufacturers are really working to upgrade their batteries. The other thing about solid state is they tend to be able to be charged much more quickly, so it doesn't take hours upon hours to charge them. Right. And it's a promise towards revolutionizing how we use electric cars now.
Yeah.
That said,
so it's simplifying. So basically, it's simplifying the production process. It's reducing the time of charge. It's reducing the requirements for safety, which also reduce the overall weight of the tool, right? So it reduces the energy required to then operate said machine with said battery in it. So it's definitely bringing this whole technology further down a feasible, widespread supply chain.
And because it uses existing processes that are already in the production lines, it won't make the cost of producing these new solid state batteries outrageously expensive, right? And so it'll help to make it less expensive to create these new kinds of batteries. That said, I think we really do need to continue to think about how we use our cars, and having single purpose personal vehicles. Is that really, if we just replace all of the internal combustion engines with electric battery cars or even hydrogen vehicles, we probably won't get to where we need to be in terms of a low carbon footprint. Bicycles, walking, public transportation, these are all really important aspects of creating sustainable communities.
Before we finish that one, I just want to sort of, we talk all the time about how solutions are not siloed, right? And so while improving this battery technology is absolutely essential, rethinking transportation, rethinking personal vehicles in areas where it can be rethought, right? And then rethinking the way that we build our cities, the way we build our towns, and the way that we access things like food or our gardens all work together to reducing the overall footprint that we have on this world. And so that kind of leads me to my story. Believe it or not, there is a link between batteries and bees. My headline reads, "Sponsor a Hive program protects bees and promotes food security in Birds, Bees, and Bugs," which, as everyone knows, is like my favorite section on the Optimist Daily. So Creating habitats for bees is a great way to protect bees and boost food security. We know this. If you've listened to, us even once or twice, you know this. And so the Bee Conservancy is actually giving out hundreds of free bee homes to groups across the United States and Canada in the hopes of supporting the 1 in 4 North American native bee species that are currently at risk for extinction. So it's called Sponsor a Hive program. They're distributing 500 bee homes to community-focused organizations that support food growth, education, or ecological conservation. The homes were designed by a very talented woodworker, Cornelius Schmid, which sounds like he should be a Harry Potter character. And the wood that they are designed with is from the sustainably sourced wood with the Forest Stewardship Council certification. Now, what I like about this is that it's not only trying to protect bee population, but it's also increasing productivity in local gardens or local farms. So if you happen to have a farm or community garden near where one of these hives are, it can increase the crop yield by up to 70%, thus reducing the requirement to need to use your car to go get vegetables. Basically, the bee homes replicate natural environments for the bees. It supports, food growth, education, and ecological conservation. And long story short, it's just a really meaningful program for people to continue to learn about the value of bee populations, as well as the way our, ecological environment works together in whole. I did go online today and I saw that they have given out more than 200 already, but there are 300 for the remaining balance in April. You can submit your application on, you can click through the link on the Optimist Daily story, and you can submit your application to see if you might be eligible for one of these hives at your home or in your local community garden. So birds, bees, and bugs, I've got some bird feeders on the way. I'm really wrestling with the fact that I should not have bees on my property simply because I do, in fact, have a bee allergy, but I think allergies are going to kind of be a thing that I deal with being here for a little while. So, maybe we'll throw.
You have to get some locally sourced honey in your system.
So I pre-gamed my trip to Texas, my move to Texas, because when we were here in January, I got a bunch of locally sourced honey and I put it in my tea for the 2 months before we moved here. But then, of course, since I've been here, haven't had a drop. So I think I need to go find some, and certainly honey would continue to help this trailing cold that we're almost at the tail end of. Mm-hmm. So let's see, Kristy. You
might want to put a lemon juice with garlic and oil together for yourself.
That is just what I've always wanted to do. It's just, actually, I did cook with locally sourced garlic last night. So I figured some extra garlic might help.
Raw.
Okay, so moving on. You know what? I bet you if I did just huge, like a blended smoothie of local raw garlic, lemon, and honey, I'd feel different tomorrow.
Yeah, it may not be good, but so let's put a pin in that one and let's talk about what's the rest of the stories on today's Optimist
The rest
Daily.
of the stories. So I'll read a couple of headlines because my voice is sticking with us today. The power of cartography for advocacy in Panama's indigenous communities. That's a really, really interesting article about how using maps to understand originations and indigenous communities. Actually, in the United States, there's a map that can show what indigenous land you live on as well. We wrote about that a couple weeks ago. AI can help doctors improve kidney transplant success. There is a great story about how scientists collect animal DNA from the air in a world's first. What else do we have, Kristy?
That one tickled me. Okay, so the UK has announced a program to monitor the world's oceans, again, towards put a new focus on improving our aqua part of the biosphere. There's a new study that shows reading before bed can give you a better night's sleep. I think that's really true, especially if you get out of using your cell phone or your screens of any sort before you go to bed.
And this is like reading an actual book, not a Kindle.
An actual book, yes. That slowed down paper physical object. helps
Yep.
to quiet the mind, I think.
Oh,
Okay.
you know what? Our
What?
producer just tapped in with our comments that actually even reading on Kindle does help too.
Oh, okay.
It's just the act of reading a story is what makes a
Ah,
difference. So,
okay.
Amelia, thank you for keeping
Well,
us
good.
focused
I
there.
don't feel bad that I listen to audiobooks when I can't sleep. There's a man in India who has made bricks out of chewed up gum and discarded masks. And I think this is a tremendous idea. The new bricks are going to cost about 2.8 Indian rupees per piece, which is really, really inexpensive. And of course, we have a houseplant article about
Good
four
old
things
houseplants.
to spruce up your houseplants for the new season. Now that it is spring, time to regenerate your soils in your home houseplants. And scientists have developed a robo-dog for the visually impaired who don't have the ability to take care of a dog, I guess. So, that's it for today's Optimist Daily. Stories to intrigue you, spark your curiosity, and make you think. So that is that.
Well, thanks everybody listening to today's Optimist Daily Update. We promise to continue to share positive stories that help you participate in this changing world and ensure it is changed for the good. If you have the means, please, please, please become an emissary on the optimistdaily.com. And for just $5, $15, or $50 a month, you can support reader-funded journalism, helping keep the Optimist Daily free to all who need it, supported by those who can. We don't take advertising. We love our emissaries. Thank you for your support. And thanks for everybody for listening. Have a great day.
Talk to you tomorrow.